Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you are seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are real tech for real people. Today's video is going to be on the LG CX C10 Oled, HDMI 2.1 Debacle, as well as the Denon AV receiver, HDMI 2.1 Debacle. But it's going to be different than you think. We're going to add some levity to it with some analogies on how I'm feeling about it. Did a video on it yesterday. Now, in all honesty, what I think is very interesting is how videos like that, these fear-mongering, this thing is garbage, you're in big trouble, act now, get rid of it, keep it, videos do very, very well. I don't expect this one to do very well, and that's okay. That's not why I do YouTube. But I am going to let my personality flow a little bit in this one. I'm going to be a little bit careful. But I want to talk about my analogy for my LG CX C10 Oled, how I'm feeling about it, and hopefully make you smile in the process, especially if you have it. And we're going to use some dating analogies for that.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
All right, guys. The other night I was playing Modern Warfare on the LG CX. This TV, as I mentioned, is 77 inches. It is glorious. It has its issues. Aside from the HDMI 2.1, the raised gamma, the non-working features that it promised, that is all tangible, real stuff. And I'm not going to tell you it's not true. I did a video on this yesterday talking about it, and I was clearly very frustrated in this video, or in that video. And in this video, I want to add my own thoughts to it and how I actually am looking at it. So before the video from HDTV Test came out, and many of us like Vincent very much and watch his channel, and he had that information about perhaps HDMI 2.1 will not be fixed on the LG. And taking nothing from his channel, it's interesting how we will focus on that, and it'll change how we feel about something, even though we have it in our homes and we look at it every single day. Now, the comments that I always hear from people that don't have these products will tell me, from what I've read, whether it's in forums or in videos or from other reviewers, hey, dude, what I read, and I will always say to them, well, I have it here, and this is what I see. And it's always an interesting contrast. I have a 77-inch OLED. It has its own issues. My biggest issue with the LG CX, as I call it, is some screen uniformity. And it's in the whites, actually, that I struggle. There are some black level issues that can be rectified by dropping the brightness a little bit. And, you know, I'm going to bring up again Brass Tacks. Special shout out to him. If you don't know him, find him on YouTube. He's awesome. We've become very good friends. But we are talking about this every other day. What is acceptable? What isn't? And the analogy that I've been using the last few days, I didn't think I would talk about, and he encouraged me to get on here and do a video on it. It's a lot like dating. And I'm married. I have 2 little girls, so it'll be my experiences of dating back in the day. And for myself, I'll be saying she. For you, I don't want to alienate anybody. You can change the dynamic however you like when you're thinking about this process. So the question, or the conversation we were having, is tainted. Is it tainted? And other than the screen uniformity issues that I've experienced, which is in the whites, it could be more obvious because it's 77 inches. The problems with HDMI 2.1 are there. They've yet to be handled or even seen because the Xbox Series X will be out soon. But I have a computer, a GTX 1080 Ti, that I ran DisplayPort through HDMI 2.1. I enjoyed HDR and I enjoyed 120 FPS. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. But what's interesting is whether it's me or something you read or other reviewers, we can change or put enough doubt into your mind to where you start looking at something that you love or are very fond of differently. And it reminds me of dating. It reminds me of, and I'll do this analogy as correctly as I can, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. I love her. She's beautiful. She's not perfect, but she's beautiful. She's smart, she's witty, she's funny, she's gorgeous, went to a great school, has a great job, doesn't really have any baggage. And then there are some cracks. You do get some, one of your buddies tells you, hey man, he can tell you, a buddy of mine knows her. She's not who she says she is, or she might have a little bit of a history. And you start looking at her a little different. And your insecurities start to show up. Make the wrong choice. Should I stay single? Should I be with her? Should I stay with her? And now you start viewing her differently. Even though she's in front of you. And you're enjoying your time with her. So the other night, I'm playing Modern Warfare. My buddy Paul, shout out to Paul. And again, shout out to Brass Tacks. And it was the best experience that I've had on this display since I've had it. I was playing Forza Horizon 4 on PC. I did a video on that. And I was going to release that before yesterday's video. I had never been more blown away from a display in my own home. Now, in my own home, I've had KS 9800, KS 9000, 940E, all kinds of Samsungs. I've had OLEDs. I've had all kinds of different displays. And I did have that wow that so many of us want. That love. Fall in love. You're like, damn, wow, love her. Or him, or whatever. And it takes a little bit of doubt to rock you. And I mentioned in the video yesterday, which was a little bit more serious, in the morning, I'm in love, I was grateful. There's a little bit of doubt, which makes me explore it further. Now I'm reading all kinds of different information, and the doom and gloom, and I'm ready to put it back in the box. Yet earlier in the morning, I was completely satisfied. If anything has been happening in 2020, we are all so quick to go from grateful to be alive, I'm glad nothing's really happened here, to like hate the world, all in the same day or same hour. Technology has not made it any different. So here I am with this Denon, which is 8K, doesn't have pass-through. In the meantime, I'm listening to Dolby Atmos, got speakers in the ceilings, and I'm sure they'll sort it out. But there's a moment where you're like, she's tainted. Gotta get rid of her. Gotta be single. And the dating aspect of it is, gotta go back to my old girl. Gotta call her. Gotta text her. And for me, that's a Pioneer receiver. It's in the in the box over there, and that's a Sony 900E upstairs. And like any other dating, once that doubt is in your mind, you can't see anything else. Especially if your confidence is rocked. And your buddies are telling you, dude, she's no good. Then you look at them and realize they're single. They don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. But you're listening to them. And you're like, wow. Getting information, and that's not about Vincent, by the way. I'm not saying anything about him that way. But when you're hearing it from people that are telling you to get rid of it, telling you to hate something, a lot of times it's not somebody that actually has it. Now, I'm realistic about, obviously from my video yesterday and other videos I've done in the past, if there's an issue with it, I'll tell you. And I have told you. I'm not going to tell you it's perfect. I'm not going to tell you she's perfect. She might have lied about what she did. Maybe she had a little part-time job. Maybe one of your buddies saw her. But is it enough to throw her away? Enough to not see the amazing qualities that she has? But all of a sudden you can't see that anymore. All of a sudden you're watching and you're nitpicking every little mannerism, every little issue that makes you insecure about your purchase. I spent the money. Oh my God. Now I'm going to run to somebody else. That other girl I was talking to, Samsung. She's beautiful. Though I have no interest in this year's lineup with the 90T. It's a great display. I was a huge fan of the Q9FN. And they, in my opinion, didn't reach that again. So I'd be jumping 8K, which at 75 inches is a few thousand more and has its own problems. Or Sony. That's my girl. I was with her for a long time. She's amazing. Love her. Then your memory of her is better than it was. All of a sudden, I don't see any blooming. And in my opinion, or in my thought process, or in my memory, the display that's upstairs, 900E, which I love, in my mind, it's got better blacks. It's cleaner. Well, watching it yesterday, comparing my other CX to it, you're like, okay, it's the fear and the insecurity that pushes you back and makes you make quick decisions. Now you didn't give her the benefit of the doubt. If you want to know what I'm talking about, watch the movie Chasing Amy. And for those of you that have seen that, you know what I'm talking about. But you start getting to where you don't see any of the positives. And going back to Samsung, I've had my issues with Samsung myself. I recommend them every day. I don't have bias in regards to recommending them. For myself, they're not headed where I want to go. I'm not interested in 8K presently. I'm certainly not going to pay an extra $2,000 or $3,000 for it, especially going down from 77 to 75. Sony, my girl, my ex-girl, was just with her, had a long relationship with her, is not headed where I want to either. The 900H does not interest me. It has its own problems with HDMI 2.1. And its picture quality, in my opinion, does not equal the CX or even the 950H, which I also have here. So where does that leave me? Z8H, Master Series. No, actually, it's not a Master Series. Z8H, 8K. It's not the Z9Gs where I'm thinking about. Let me jump up there. That TV's $6,000 and smaller. Has one HDMI 2.1 port. Doesn't have any of the specs that the OLED has. Do you see where I'm going? Meaning, should we settle? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Shouldn't settle. But all of us, me, you, all of us, are taking this point of it's garbage. We can't go from she's amazing to she's absolute trash and throw her away. You have to look at your own confidence in there and realize your buddies that are telling you to get rid of it don't have them. Is it perfect? No. She's a little tainted. She might have had a little questionable past. She's got a little baggage, but she's beautiful. And that's kind of where I want to go with this conversation, is getting ready to move from it to something else that's inferior to it because of what you're seeing or hearing, even from myself, raised blacks. Well, I'm going to show you in another video that if it takes a few notches down in OLED brightness till they sort it out, and I still get this amazing specular highlight, but the blacks are a little raised, so be it. I can do that. I can take that extra step. If FreeSync Premium raises the blacks, and I want to watch Dolby Vision, and I'm using the same HDMI port, yes, it's an extra step for me to disable it. However, it's a one extra step. All this technology now is so incomplete. Like I said, Samsung's had its own issues with firmware updates. The 900H has got its own issue. The consoles aren't even out yet. They will not be doing 4K 120. I want to be ready for it, and this display can do it. My receiver can't. My receiver can. She can't do it. My girl on the side can't do it. My CX can do it. It can do it with HDR. Black's a little raised. Is it not perfect? Yeah, she's not perfect. Maybe she wasn't on the volleyball team. I don't know. Maybe she had a little part-time job at a club or something. Bartender. Maybe one of your boys dated her. You follow where I'm going with it. For me, what will I do? Well, my CX has, again, banding in the whites. So if I do switch it out, I want you guys to know it would be for another CX. Let's also keep in mind this. As my buddy Paul and I had talked, he had said, well, hey, look, you should never settle. These things are expensive. Fair. They are. The C7, a number of years ago at 77 inches, was $15,000. The C8 was much cheaper, still very expensive at the time. C9, substantially less. CX C10, much less. In the UK, they've just dropped £1,000. So, does that mean settle? No. But nothing is perfect. And technology lately, especially, is telling you nothing is complete. Look at the Xbox One from when it launched to now. Now, am I drinking the Kool-Aid? No, I'm looking at things objectively. I'm not even defending it. I'm telling you for yourself, not in the comments when someone tells you trash it and get an AAH or an A9G or whatever. Guys, I have an A9S right over here. I didn't read about it. I didn't hear about it. I have one. It exhibits some of the same screen uniformity issues. It doesn't do 4K 120. That's not a positive. It does 4K 60. It's great. I love it. You'll see a review on it. It's amazing. I dropped the brightness on this 2 notches and they look the same. And this one's 77 inches. So, what I'm trying to say is judge her with your own eyes, your own experience. But having your boys in the back of the bar that are single and they're going home without anyone telling you to leave her. That's what I'm saying. Yes, she's tainted. You know, she wasn't real honest. She has a little bit of a past, a little bit of baggage. But as I'm sitting here using it every day, and I'll post the Forza video, it's gorgeous. Modern Warfare, I mean, I'm 5 feet from it. And that game's not even 4K. It's wrapped around me. The depth of the image, the HDR. I'm not even defending my own display. I've told you from the very first video on my CX that it's a little bit of a mess. But the other options... Now, some of you guys are saying, hey, look, Bri, take a knee, man. I've said it. That's fair. Let's just say I do that hypothetically. Hypothetically, I break up with her. I break up with her, get out of here. I go back, I'm single for a couple more years. What am I thinking is going to come tomorrow? Mini LED, micro LED. Remember, I'm in the heavyweight division. So are many of you. You think next year's micro LED, not a TCL, but an OLED or one of the higher end is going to be $2,000, $3,000? You think Samsung's next OLED is going to launch at 77 inches? Now, here's another thing. Do you think it's going to be 4K? It's going to be 8K. For me, the time to buy was now. Because 4K had matured, all the content that I use is 4K. It's not what someone else told me. It's what I told me. It's what I said about her. I like this about her. I like that she snores. I like her laugh. I think she's hot. I think she's pretty. Not someone else saying, hey, look, she has a crooked toe. I like it. Now, taking a knee, wait a couple years, and a lot of you have said early adopters. That's fair. The C9 had HDMI 2.1. It's not an early... HDMI 2.1 in action is early, but it's been around for a while. And it does it. 98% of it. Little raised blacks. It's not the end of the world. I know those videos get views. Those fear-mongering. HDMI 2.1, it's not 48. It's garbage. Click. Raised blacks. Click. Tomorrow. It's good. Click. She's great. Your boy's telling you to break up with her. Then he's trying to date her. So, maybe my analogy isn't quite as funny as I thought. But that's how I'm looking at her. Now, she's... This one will probably get switched out to see if I can get a cleaner panel. And my issue isn't really with the blacks. Even the issue I showed you in the video yesterday with that Venom kind of crushing, I knock it down a couple levels. It doesn't seem darker, but that area is just like the A9S. Now, for those of you that say, grab an A9G. A9G is one of the best displays ever made. It's a Master Series. It was my second favorite display last year. I like the C9. I'm allowed to like it. I'm a Sony guy. but I like different things. I'll end up back with Samsung probably at some point. I like the look of LG. I like the saturation. I don't need everything to look like it was. I'm not hanging out with the director saying, what do you think, bro? What do you think? You like it? Yeah. Accurate? Perfect. I don't need that. That might be your thing. But don't let someone else tell you that's your thing. Don't let someone else tell you that she's crappy or she's not worth it. You decide what you like. You like 2,000 nits of peak brightness? That's your girl. That's the one you have to go find. And yes, we do talk in the comments. Some people will say, yeah, this one's more accurate. I do it too. I do. That's how we discuss it. But you have to say to yourself, what is it important to you? What's important to me? We'll talk about it. 77 inches is important to me. I had a 75-inch panel for 4 years. OLED is important to me. I do like black level, even if it's compromised slightly. Dropping it a few notches, that's not something I discovered yesterday. But I did fall for like my boy telling me that she's got a little bit of a past. A couple adjustments, and it's absolutely stunning. So do I throw her away to wait 2 years? And being honest, I do YouTube. I'll have another panel in 3 years. I'm not going to wait 3 years. Got consoles, everything's ready to rock. Now 4K 120, we're going to do a whole separate video on these consoles that can't do 4K without dynamic resolution. Now, so far, those are just upgraded Gears of War, Devil May Cry for the PS5. You better give me native 4K. If we're all jumping through these hoops for new HDMI 2.1, you can't give me native 4K? Then to me, you remind me of the Xbox and the PS4, where you couldn't give me 1080p. 4K has been around forever. We're jumping 8K. Your consoles better be able to do 4K. 4K 30, fine, but it better be 4K. You better have some ray tracing. Back to my girl. I love her. She's not perfect. She lied on the resume a little bit. A little bit of lying on the resume. You know, she can't do everything she said she could do. But I love her. And I will, again, live with this one for probably another 100 hours. See if that white banding dissipates. But I won't be returning it for something else. And I also won't be switching it out due to some raised blacks that I can fix by dropping the brightness a little bit. Not the OLED light, the brightness. For those of you that have OLEDs or have this specific one, you know what I'm saying. It doesn't mean I'm taking away the peak brightness of it or compromising it in any way. But there's something to be said about looking over my shoulder, this shoulder, as I'm playing. And on this receiver, I see Dolby Atmos. Everything's running through it. I can hear everything around around my living space here, my little theater. And then I'm 77-inch OLED, which I've dreamed about since OLEDs came out, and they were 1080p. And some whispers from, different reviewers and in the comments are going to make me doubt my girl. And doesn't take away what I said in the video yesterday. The manufacturing, it is inexcusable. But it's the way everything is. Your cars are not complete when they ship anymore. These consoles are going to get 1 million updates. And gaming, as much as the CX has been touted as NVIDIA's TV, it's a gaming display. Gaming is still going to be an afterthought. But I will tell you, I cannot get rid of this and get a monitor and sit next to something the size of my phone. That's not the way I've gamed. It's just not my style. It could work for you. These Predators, these monitors are sick. 240 hertz. You're right next to it. No. I'm a big boy. I like the immersion of displays and TVs. But I know what I like. And once in a while, I have to remind myself of that. And I'm reminding you to remind yourself of how you feel, not how someone else feels. Or think about it again in terms of dating, not on what your single buddy thinks about your girl or your boyfriend, or if you're a girl or whatever. If someone else is whispering in your ear, get rid of it. Look at them and say, well, what do you have? Oh, I'm single. I want to hang out with you. And that's the funny thing about brass tacks, is that we're dating the same girl. So we've had these conversations. And he was getting ready, and I'm going to let him do his own video. You'll see him and I working together. So I'm not going to spoil what he's planning on doing with his CX. But we talk about this. And this is the analogy that I was talking about. She might have done porn. Maybe it wasn't hardcore. It might have been like a Cinemax thing. But, it's not tainted like that. Your buddy will say, well, hey, look, I've seen that. That's fine, man. Admire it. Be confident in your purchases. I have the ability to box it up and get rid of it. So I'm not defending it because I'm stuck with it. I've never been in a better position to get rid of it. So I'm being as honest with you as I possibly can. I am in the best position to say, I don't like it. Give me an A9G. But if I wanted an A9G, I would have gotten one last year. AAH, they don't make a 77. But I don't want a Sony OLED. I have one here. The Master Series A9S is awesome. Very, very seldomly have I had that and said, I wish this was larger. I like who I came with. Love the one you're with. This is the one I like. There's a reason I like the C9 and the C8 and the B8. I love Sony. But I'm not a fanboy. You have to win me every time. And to me, Sony is just, this is what I wanted. And I have it to a degree. My issue with it is not the issue everybody else has. Mine is this random white issue. And it's also on the A9S, as a matter of fact. So it might be an OLED thing that I'm noticing at 77. Long video. A little more upbeat than yesterday's. But the fear-mongering and, doing this for clicks and likes and keeping that going is not something that I'm interested in. I have other videos of gameplay footage. If it gets 200 views, 100 views, 5 views, I'm always happy I get a single view or a single subscriber. But I'm not going to chase it, HDMI 2.1. Dun, dun, dun. I'm keeping mine. If I switch it out, it'll be to see if I can get a cleaner panel. But I will not be getting rid of it because of variable refresh rate. I mean, getting rid of it for it not realizing its potential. It still has all these things. The G-Sync's been fixed. It's got variable refresh rate, FreeSync Premium, Dolby Vision. It can do 4K 120 without hurting the image in terms of resolution. It can do these things. The blacks are raised a little bit. Gamma's changed a little bit. All right, well, I'm going to lower the gamma a little bit. Okay. That's how I'm looking at it. She's beautiful. Now I'm going to stay with her. All right, guys. Thank you. I hope the video was enjoyable for you. I know it was long as hell at 27 minutes. Jesus, the boy can talk. Love you guys. Take care.